Collins Rogers,
I, Brittany Collins Rogers,
do
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Monroe. And once Ms. Collins Rogers is seated, we can now say we have a quorum. Good evening. Thank you. All right, do we have any changes to the agenda? Oh, before we go there, now we can have an opening roll call, please.
Member Ash?
Here.
Member Collins Rogers? Here. Member Mohammed? Here. President Affelt?
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Over there. I'm sorry. We moved it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening. The only potential change, I think, is item number 4. I don't believe we'll need to do that unless the board would like to take a moment to do anything instead of that item.
Well, let me ask, Ms. Collins Rogers, you administered the oath, so we don't need to do item 4, but we could use that time if you have any comments or anything you would care to say to the assembled. Okay, we'll keep that item on. No, not yet. We're not there. We're almost there. Any other proposed changes to the agenda?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Now it is time for public comment on items not on the agenda tonight. Do we have any public comment? Yes, please. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Nelson. I'm a board member down at Mountain View Wisman, and I was going to talk to you about progressive parcel taxes, but I talked to your superintendent for a couple minutes before the meeting, and he said, yeah, we already have one, and it's locked in for 20 years. So I'm glad you guys are advanced, because this is going to give me some talking points when I go down and talk to my board and my superintendent, who've been scared off by the Barricas versus Alameda appellate court decision. So thank you very much for your leadership on that, though you didn't necessarily lead. And this thing about board caught in Brown Act stuff, it happens to all of us. It happens at some different level. What we found on my board is, turns out there's usually a deputy district attorney in the public integrity unit, and he can be a person that sometimes, if you think something isn't working right on your board, if you send something to him and it's somebody or a couple people on your board that need to be, it's like almost a traffic cop giving you a warning rather than a ticket. It's worked a couple times when we've tried to do something that wasn't quite right, or three people on our board did something that was pushing the line too far. So, except you're going to get public pushback all the time. And two people is a coalition. It's not violating the Brown Act. So it's a fun dance to learn. It's like learning dancing without stepping on people's toes.
Thank you for your comment. All right, appreciate your coming out. Any other public comment? Yes. Please step forward, sir.
Okay. My name is Brian Donahue. I'm a parent with a child in the district. I'm here to welcome our new school board member, Brittany Collins. Brittany Collins Rogers, I understand. So I would like to give you this. This is an article from, I believe it was a newspaper article. You should know this. It's recent board history, and it's from Tuesday, December 1st, 2015, and it's from the Bay Area News Group. It went all around the Bay Area, and it's an editorial called "Board Caught in Illegal Meeting Acts Childishly," and I'd like to give this to you, and also to the student, so you can read that at your leisure. So I am here now. I have a child at Annie Yates University. I'm sorry, elementary school, and so I'm going to bring you up to speed on your colleagues. Who is it that you're working with now? Who do you find yourself in the company of? As you know, the president is the school board is John Affelt. He's an attorney, and he's the one that wasn't aware of the Brown Act. It was kind of shocking because, he's an attorney. He should be aware of the Brown Act. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but I'm aware of the Brown Act, and I know all about the provisions of the Brown Act. But the attorney, school board president, wasn't aware. Neither was the superintendent of the schools, John Rubio, was unaware. So just so you know, the school board president and the superintendent of the schools don't know about the Brown Act. I've been trying to tell them about it, but it's, my advice has sort of fallen on deaf ears. Well, then they got dinged by your fellow colleague, Christian Patz. And what they did was Mr. Patz alerted the board that there was a Brown Act violation, and then he was universally attacked by your colleagues, and that's not right. I mean, we shouldn't be attacking whistleblowers, I don't think. As it turns out, the board, Mr. Affelt and Mr. Rubio, were in fact wrong when they did the illegal meeting before a meeting in December, and so Mr. Patz, your colleague who's not here yet, was vindicated. But just so you know, Mr. Patz was right, and the other 4 board members were wrong. You should know about there's a long history here at the school district. I'm going to spend many meetings bringing you up to speed about there is a lot of animosity between the board and, for instance, say, the teachers. You should know about the teachers' resolution. I don't know if you know about this.
You're out of time.
Okay, I'll be bringing you up to speed in the months to come. I'm going to be telling you about the teachers' resolution and how Mr. Affelt was totally wrong, and he was, basically he's anti-teacher, and I don't think that's well advised.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue. Is there any other public comment tonight? Yes, Ms. Collins.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Collins. I worked for Emory Unified School District in the past, and I just want to congratulate the latest member that was sworn in tonight, Brittany Collins Rogers, who happens to be my daughter. We're very proud of you. I know you know what you're getting into. I know you know how to handle it, and we have confidence that you will make all the right decisions. I know you've been in this district for 11 years now as a student, as the school president. I know you graduated from college, and I know that you will make a difference in the Emory Unified School District. And again, congratulations.
Any other public comments? Okay, we are on to the next agenda item, which is the oath of office, and Ms. Collins Rogers has already been sworn in, but perhaps you'd like to offer a few comments.
Getting the hang of things already. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to
You have
say
speak
that
very close.
that I am so grateful for this opportunity to be the provisional board trustee at this point in time for the Emory Unified School District. I will uphold, my oath of office and allowing myself to, make sure that I do follow the rights of the Constitution and that I do hold the Emory Unified School District and its students, as well as the community, just to make sure that we are one as a community, one as a school district, that we all come together, and that this community of Emeryville will flourish into the most prosperous community that we've seen it to become. So I just want to take this chance to thank everyone who has come out tonight, everyone that's watching on TV, or whether it be on YouTube, and just let you know that I, Brittany Collins Rogers, will be here until November, and then we'll see what happens after that. So thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Ms. Collins Rogers. Now we're on to reports. Do we have a report from ETA or CSEA? Thank you, Superintendent Monroe. Do we have a student representative report tonight? Yes. Okay. Make sure your mic is on. No.
No?
You gotta hold the mute.
It's on.
It's on.
It's on? Okay, it says it's on. Just make sure you go close.
Okay. I guess I just have some general updates about what's going on campus. We have Spirit Week going on this week to lead up to the anticipation of the academic rally on Friday, to celebrate, everybody who made it to the honor roll. It's also Black History Month, and every day this month we've been doing just today in history during the announcements in the mornings, give a little background on civil rights and all of that. We have a senior snow trip coming up from the 15th to the 17th in Burns. Mr. Burns and Mr. Green are in charge of that. We have other senior things going on, like fundraisers and, fundraisers. Oh, for the prom, that's right. The fundraiser is mainly to go to the prom, which is going to occur in May. We have a GoFundMe page if anybody wants to donate. And I think we've raised like a total of maybe $600-700 so far in order to put a deposit down on a boat that we want to have prom on. Gonna be fancy. In terms of sports, we have our softball season starting up. First game is February 18th, but in Richmond. Basketball is still going on. The girls and boys have an alumni game going on like right now, and they won their senior night games last night, both the boys and girls basketball team. And yeah, that's it for student report.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Emory Secondary School Principals Report. We have Mr. Doug Ferber in the house?
Good evening, board members, Dr. Rubio, and welcome Ms. Collins-Rogers to our school board, and audience members. And Aaliyah, great job with the report. She stole my thunder, which is fine. It's perfect. Should come from the kids, the students. We have an early academic outreach program on campus right now. It's like 2 extra counselors from UC Berkeley. They're on campus Tuesdays and Thursdays. The early academic outreach program is through UC Berkeley. It partners with schools, districts, community organizations, and families to empower underserved students and prepare them for college and career success. They're on our campus in the library on the 2nd floor of our building. Like I said, all day Tuesday and Thursday, they've been pulling out kids and talking to kids, helping them get ready for their 4-year plans, for FAFSA funding, for college applications and all that for juniors, and trying to give them information to help them get to the next level. On the 25th of March, we have our 2nd annual talent showcase. It's a talent competition. So, I should smile. That's my impression. We do have basketball going on right now, and I don't want to say more than I have to, but we have 2 very successful programs going on right now. We have the boys basketball team is 16-6. The girls are 13-6. Both are going to be league champions, and they should start the playoffs later this month. And we're looking forward to the potential for maybe a state championship. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. We have a academic rally Friday, just like Aaliyah said. Friday it's in the multipurpose room at 1:50. Dr. Rubio and any board members that would like to attend, you're welcome to attend. It's kind of an uplifting event. It's kind of fun, and the kids really get into it, and we honor the honor roll kids from the first semester. We, as a staff, we put together a new tardy and referral process policy that we started 2nd semester. So, tardies, we have 7 classes, and kids sometimes meander to class, so we've hurried them along by making 3 tardies in a 2-week period worthy of a Friday school. But it's not all negative. It's good. The kids are getting to class, and it's a whole lot. The halls are a lot clearer sooner. The same could be said for our referral process. The teachers have 3 steps before they send a student out, if that's necessary, and if they get sent out twice, they go to Friday school, 3:30 to 5:30 on Friday. Let's see. On the other side, we are really putting our PBIS, our positive behavior, in play with positive behavior. The cards. The teachers give out positive behavior cards to kids who are doing exceptional or doing things that are great, or being a good citizen. And there's a drawing every Friday. We give out movie tickets to the kids who get pulled in the drawing. And that's all that I can say at this point. The prom is May 21st. It is on a boat. And we would appreciate any donations that you guys would like to make toward that prom. We'd like to make the prom little or no cost to our students. Are there any questions for me?
Quick question. I heard that you were saying that if the children or the students were tardy more than 3 times during the 2-week period, that they would have a Friday school. Is it a Friday school or a Saturday school?
It's Friday school.
Okay, so why is it that they're not in school on Friday as it is?
No, the Friday school is from 3:30 to 5:30.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's after school.
Just clarifying.
Any more questions?
The first item you mentioned was an academic.
EAOP. That's the Early Academic Outreach Program from UC Berkeley.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit more about what that is, how it's operating? Is that a new
it's
program?
new. We brought it this year. We have 2 counselors from UC Berkeley that help high school kids, underserved high school kids, get to the next level. And they are on campus Tuesday and Thursday, and pretty much all day, and they pull out kids throughout the course of the day. They ask me for schedules so they can get the kids out and talk to them.
And are they helping them prepare, make sure they have the courses for college? Or are they actually tutoring them? What are they doing?
They're helping them prepare for college. They're working with 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. At this point, the 12th graders have all done their college apps, and what they're doing now is they're waiting to find out where they were accepted, and they're now working on, during March, they're going to be working on FAFSA of student aid and all that. So that's where they're at now. But they're trying to put together 4-year plans for 9th graders and 10th graders, kind of getting them in the right direction so they'll be college ready.
Got it.
College and career ready.
Mhm.
So. And we do have a great career center. That's new this year as well. That's on Wednesdays, and we do a lot of things there that are similar.
That's what I thought you were talking about, actually.
Yeah,
So-
no, this
so-
is an additional thing we
Okay.
have in addition, and at no cost and no charge to us, which is really nice.
Yeah. So
The
talk about the Career Center.
the Career Center is on Wednesdays from 8 to 12, and it's being run by a woman by the name of Cookie Teat. And Cookie's been gracious enough to set up this area for kids to come in and file for college applications and apply for scholarships and grants. And she's there on Wednesday. She does the same thing at John Sweat High School on Fridays, I believe. And she's readily available, and she also does work permits and some other things on campus that help the kids. And that's on Wednesday. So we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pretty strong support on campus for the kids
Okay.
at no cost.
Other questions? Mr. Ferber? All right, thank you, Mr. Ferber. Appreciate the report.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Superintendent's report?
Yes, good evening. I'd like to add 2 more things about the high school that are coming up. We have a couple of staff members who do some mentoring for our male students at the middle school, and they are extending that program. It's called the Mentoring Men's Movement, and they're going to be, I believe, Mr. Ferber, they're working with you on a targeting and reaching out to some of your high school students as well to provide some additional mentoring, I think. So I just wanted to alert the board that we're extending that kind of work that we have built into our local control accountability plan to continue to provide additional support for our students. I wanted to make mention of one other item coming up regarding our high school students. On April 27th, the Institute for STEM Education through Cal State University East Bay, with the support of Wareham Development, will be hosting a STEM event where students from Berkeley Unified, Emory Unified, and I believe Oakland Unified have the ability to visit with employees and get to see the facilities of several pharmaceutical companies. It's a great event for our students, so we believe we'll have probably 40 to 50 of our high school students, I believe juniors and seniors, on April 27th have that opportunity. So that information will be coming out from Ms. Cavero, the high school counselor, sometime soon if that information isn't yet out to students. But I wanted to alert the board regarding that yearly event. It's been very successful, and I think it's been something the students have really valued. I wanted to also mention to the board something quickly regarding our Yale National Institute Initiative. Each year we have a partnership with Yale University where Yale accepts a couple of our teachers to help them improve their teaching, work with some of their professors, have access to their private collection in their library of primary sources. And we have extended that invitation. I think I've already maybe told the board this, but I wanted to say it in public that we have extended the invitation to Berkeley Unified to join us. And Yale has okayed that and given us permission to extend that partnership. And so for the first time this year, I believe, we have applications for that summer initiative, this 2 weeks of training in the summer with Yale professors from Berkeley Unified with some of our teachers. And so we're kind of excited by that. It's a nice partnership with our neighbor. 2 other things quickly let you know. In regards to our Emeryville Center, Emery Center for Community Life, our ECCL project, we are, as much as we can, we're taking a hard look at the different parts of the design. We found a way to save some additional money and to increase student safety. We are looking at the type of padding now that goes under the turf. We'll have already one of the safest turf fields, we believe, in the area, with not using any recycled tire materials. But we also have found a company that makes a material that goes, it's kind of a power base that goes under the turf, so that there is less hardening of the field and less risk for our athletes in terms of concussions. And because of the way this is designed, so the water drains through and then out to the sides, we learned today that we'll need less layers of dirt or height of the dirt, so that'll save us money in hauling dirt around. And we can actually take out all of the drainage that we had planned to put throughout the field. And so we found a way to save some money and increase student safety.
Not take it out, but not have to do it.
Not have to do it, I'm sorry. Take it out of the design, I'm sorry, yes. So we found a way to increase student safety while we are able to cut some of the costs out of our budget for the construction of the turf field for our multi-use field. So I wanted to share that with you. Last thing I'd like to share is we've spent the last couple days with the staff and teachers and the principals in a 2-day session called Beyond Diversity, really to look at and examine how race affects our work, how our own perceptions of race affects either in a good way or not a good way, how we work with our students, how we manage our students, how we interact with one another. It was very difficult, I think, in terms of the conversations that took place in examining that for us. And Emory Unified has a long history of this kind of work prior to me, so but I am happy that we're looking at these items again now. So I just wanted to share that in public, that we had 2 full days, and we are going to be continuing that work going forward. So that's it.
Great. Thank you, Superintendent, for that report. President's report, just briefly, 2 items. It's also Spirit Week at Annie Yates, and the school has been very lively and livened up by the spirit the students have been showing this week. My son has been dressing differently every morning on the way to school. Monday was Blue and Gold Day. Tuesday was Ethnicity Day, where your ethnic clothing or something that represents your ethnicity. It was really, really cute to see students coming in Northern European, Swedish garb, African garb, Chinese, Japanese clothing. That was really special. And today was University Day, so lots of university logos that students were wearing. The second item, last night I was on the agenda of the PTO at Annie Yates. They've had a very active and effective PTO this year. Really happy to see that. I asked to be put on the agenda to update the community there on the ECCL development and planning and where we're at in our board processes and thinking about splitting or not splitting Annie Yates and making it a K-12 facility as currently planned, or maybe retaining some of the grades at Annie Yates. We had a lively discussion. There were lots of questions. There's still lots of, I think, people still need to learn more about the design at the current facility, and so we need to be doing a better job of getting that information out. And some ideas came out of the meeting, such as a frequently asked question document that we can put up on our website. I think we want to go ahead and do that. And also, we have, as I've announced at previous president's reports, we've been thinking, the superintendent and I, about having the next study session on the ECCL site at the the second meeting, which is now, looks like it's probably going to be February 23rd. So that's still a possibility, but also, I just want to acknowledge, based on some of the discussions, we may, from last night, look for an alternative way to have a more interactive conversation, either at that meeting or some other time. So stay tuned. We're still, I think, figuring out how we want to proceed, but we will certainly be announcing that. All right, we're not taking public comment on reports, and you know that, as a matter adherent to the Brown Act. The consent calendar, we're on to the consent calendar. Would any board members like to pull any items off the consent calendar?
Can I actually ask a question about the superintendent report?
Um,
I'm sorry, I should have asked.
speak into the mic?
Yes, you can. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
I was just wondering about because you're speaking about the turf, and is that just for a football field, or is there going to be a softball field on the new school?
The plan for that multi-use field has been that it's multi-use. It is primarily soccer, football, and softball, baseball.
Okay,
Yeah.
because the softball team's buying new uniforms, so I just want to make sure that we weren't investing into something that we couldn't do next year.
No, you'll definitely be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Consent calendar, I'd like to pull the Williams report item, 6.3. Anything else from anyone? All right. Why don't we move ahead on the first two items, 6.1 and 6.2, which is warrants, and 6.2 is minutes of the regular meeting of January 27th, 2016. Do we have a motion to adopt those?
So moved.
Do we have do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Yes, Mr. Donahue. And you're going to talk about one of these two items, right?
Yes.
Yes, because anything other than that would be a violation of the rules of procedure. Please, go ahead.
Who determines that?
The board president. And
Really?
yes,
Sure?
please, go ahead.
Written in law like that? Really?
Yeah, Mr. Donahue, you have regularly abused your privileges here. And
No abuse. No.
If you come up and start talking
I'm
about
sorry.
other items,
No, I'm sorry.
excuse me, you are out of order, sir.
No,
If
I'm
you
not.
come up and start talking about other items repeatedly, you are going to lose your privilege and not be allowed to speak. Please, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's you're not entitled to do that. You can close the meeting, but you can't stop people from speaking when they're allowed to speak. And I'm sorry to inform you. See, you have been shown to not understand the Brown Act, as the last meeting in November, when it was shown to you. It should have been shown to you very clearly that you don't understand the Brown Act. You are not the arbiter. The board president is not the arbiter of whether or not somebody is speaking on point or not. Consider, if you will, to everyone here other than Mr. Affeld, imagine a person coming up here, a parent coming up here, speaking. And let's say this parent doesn't have a strong command of the English language, let's say for sake of argument. Doesn't speak English very well, let's say, for sake of argument. Is it proper and legal, do you think, for the board president to stop that parent who doesn't have a strong command of the English language from speaking because he's not speaking, quote, on the topic well enough to suit the board president's not quantified metrics? The answer is no. It's not legal. Similarly, let's say if a parent or any member of the citizen came up to speak here, and let's say this person was, let's say for sake of argument, not mentally couldn't understand because of perhaps of a low cognitive ability couldn't understand what it was being asked of him vis-a-vis speaking, quote, on topic as per the board president's directives. Would the board president legally or ethically or morally be entitled to stop that parent from speaking or that citizen? The answer is no. Everybody knows that. So, Mr. Affelt, would you please stop pulling rank like this that you don't have, and please familiarize yourself with the Brown Act. I mean, you have been shown to not understand it, really, the core of it, and I think you should go back and read it. And just so you know, you should err on the side of transparency. If you want to come down like a ton of bricks on parents with children in the school district who are making points that are critical of you and it makes you feel uncomfortable, well, you go right ahead.
Mr. Donahue, do you have anything to say about warrants or the minutes?
Yes, I'm speaking about it right now.
Is Mr. Donahue have
I
any
am
time
speaking
left?
of that on that right
29
now.
seconds.
I'm speaking on that subject right now, and I'm Mr. Affelt and Mr. Rubio. I'm making you aware of public policy that you should know about that you're obviously not aware of, and that is that you should allow people to speak here. And like I said, you can come down like a ton of bricks, but the only legal recourse you have, if you want to do that, is to clear the room.
You're out of time.
That's the only legal recourse you have. Thank you very much. Next time I'll speak about the issue. Thank you.
Okay. All
I
right.
was very interested to hear your questions.
Mr. President, will you call the
Yes,
vote,
can we
please?
have a roll call, please?
Member Ash?
Yes.
Member Collins Rogers?
Yes.
Member Mohammed?
Yes.
President Affelt?
Yes. The motion passes unanimously. The next item is 6.3, the Williams Quarterly Report. We usually don't get Williams reports. Superintendent, I know you're personally familiar with this. Maybe you could just tell us what the, not report, but we had a Williams complaint. If you could tell us what it was and how it was resolved.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a Williams complaint in writing by one of our elementary students who noticed that there was a problem in one of the restrooms at our elementary school. There was a door with either, I'm not sure if the hinge was broken or not, but I believe the door had to be removed. And so the
door of one of the stalls?
Of one of the stalls, sorry. And so we got that report, and we acted on it immediately, and we appreciated the student bringing it to our attention. In fact, we acted so quickly because there was a delay from the supplier to send another door that we removed one of our doors here from the adult restroom, and we sent it over to the school because it fit. And so we came up with a very quick solution, and we sent a message to the parents of the student to let them to please pass on to the student that we appreciated the heads up that they found a problem with our restroom that wasn't brought to our attention previously, and we got that corrected.
All right, great, thank you. I appreciate the detail, which doesn't really come out in the report. Do we have a motion to on item 6.3?
Move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Ash?
Yes.
Member Collins Rogers?
Yes.
Member Mohammed?
Yes.
President Affelt?
Yes. All right, that concludes our consent items. We're on to discussion items. Superintendent, you want to introduce and present item 7.1, the board meeting date change?
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to recommend a change to our board meeting schedule and ask that the board would allow us to change the February 2nd meeting in February to Tuesday, February 23rd, instead of Wednesday, February 24th, so that we can all be present.
Any discussion?
Oh.
Sounds reasonable to me. Ms. Tamer, have you checked everyone's calendars on the board? And the people can make it? Okay. Yeah. Any public comment on this item? Yeah, I have public comment. please.
This is what happens when you throw the doors open to the public. When you have like parents with children in the district and you have the school board that's screwing up, you get parents that are not happy. So I'm not happy. If you had a parent, if you were a parent with a child and you had a child in the district, you wouldn't be happy either. Okay, I would like to speak for Mr. Affelt's pleasure. I'd like to speak poetically about the item at hand here. Poetically. Remember, my command of the English language is not very good, Mr. Affelt, and I have, it's unknown as to whether or not my cognitive abilities, it's unknown, hasn't been tested, so we don't.
Do you have
really
a comment
know.
about the board meeting date
Yes,
change,
I do.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes, I
Please,
do.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So onward now to speak to the new school board member, Ms. Collins-Rogers.
Yes, sir.
I direct you to please, you should familiarize yourself with your colleagues that you're sitting up here with. And as I've been sort of elucidating here, there's a problem with Mr. Affelt, the school board president, and Mr. Rubio, because they're not fully aware of the Brown Act.
Mr. Donahue, this is not about the February meeting.
Yes, it is.
You really are out of order, and
No, it is
there are
about
some
the
rules
February.
about disrupting our meetings, Mr.
No, I'm
Donahue.
not disrupting. I'm speaking about that subject. So just to Ms. Collins, just so you know, they will tell you that you are not allowed to respond to unpopular speakers that get up here, like parents that are not popular, that are critical of the school board. They'll tell you, those two individuals will tell you that you're not allowed to respond to questions brought or comments. But I'm here to tell you, if you familiarize yourself with the Brown Act, you will find that in fact you actually are allowed to make comments regarding public speakers. You can't make them of great substance, but you in fact are allowed to do it. And you'll note that your colleagues will in fact enter in like sort of banter, and they'll enter into they will talk about people that get up here that are popular, and make comments, and parents, for instance, but parents that are not popular, they'll say that you're not allowed to do that. But I'm just here to tell you, you should read the Brown Act and familiarize yourself with it, and you'll find that in fact you actually are allowed. And they'll tell you no, but you should know that you in fact are allowed. So I
You're out
implore
of
you
time.
to please check the Brown Act.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
find out what
Donahue.
your parameters are. Thank you.
Thank you. As a parent, I would definitely like to get your input on the whole information, but we will have time to speak with that after any board meeting or, during discussion. Thank you.
Any other public comment on the board meeting date change? All right.
Would you call the vote, please?
Could we have vote? Roll call, please.
Yeah, I move
think we-
approval. It's fine.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Member Ash?
Yes.
Member Collins-Rogers?
Yes.
Member Mohammed?
Yes.
President Affel?
Yes. Superintendent, can you introduce their next item?
Yes, thank you. Item 7.2 is our annual report from our Human Resources Department as scheduled by the board in our board retreat back in September. Tonight we have our HR director, Ms. Harrell, to give us an update. And Ms. Harrell, come up there to sign you back in, because I think that got shut.
Good evening, Board President Alfelt, Board Members Ash, Collins-Rogers, and Ms. Ali, and Superintendent Rubio, and to everyone who has joined us here tonight. I want to begin by speaking about staffing. And that is typically one of the first components that people think about when they think about human resources. And I'll start by saying at the beginning of this year, there was a lot of concern by a lot of districts throughout the state that some teaching positions weren't going to be filled. In our district, all of our teaching positions were filled at the beginning of the school year. We had no vacant positions. As the year went on, there have been a few transitions where teaching may not have been the necessary.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Choice for some individuals. So we're still looking to fill some of those positions, but at the beginning of the year, we met that demand to have all of our positions filled.
Yeah, can you get a little closer to the mic?
Okay. We have also started the process early this year, in the month of January and February, of recruiting for next year. We by agreement with both of our bargaining units, we post internally first for 5 days, then we post externally. EdJoin being the go-to place for all school district or school-related job postings. After that, we go through the County Office of Education to send the announcements out to there, and we post on a lot of the college job boards, such as St. Mary's, Stanford, UC Berkeley, Cal State East Bay, which has a wonderful teaching program. And while we may post on the job boards, we know there's concern about credentials and making sure that our applicants are properly credentialed. Some of the younger applicants, they will be getting their credentials once they complete their programs, but alumni also visit the job boards. So we have, the information is out there for the alumni at each of those colleges to review and apply for the positions as well. We are continuing as a constant part of our job to recruit substitute teachers, and we're in the process of doing that now, and that's just continuous. There are 2 part-time classified positions that we're in the process of filling as well, and that's ongoing. Federal legislation has brought about 2 very large components that have to be managed in the HR departments now, and that happens to be benefits, such as the Affordable Care Act. And we are monitoring the hours of our part-time, our hourly, and our temporary employees to see if they meet that threshold to be offered medical coverage. There's also a new component that falls upon HR and business offices, and that is to send out this form that's called a 1099, which allows employees to verify to the federal government that they have medical coverage or the reasons why they did not. For instance, if they started working with a company the last few months of the year and they were not covered for the entire portion of the year, these forms are in essence the equivalent of or similar to a W-2, a 1099, so now we have the 1095s. There's also been the implementation of the Healthy Families Act, which is medical leave for your part-time and your temporary workers. Back in December, this board passed, they approved an amendment to our, what is it called? AR, Administrative Regulation, where our district will upfront grant 3 days of sick leave to our employees, our substitute and temporary employees, and all the employees have been granted the 3 days. They have been notified of that granting of the 3 days and the process in which they need to use them. We have 2 bargaining units in our district. Some districts have many more, but we have 2. Our teachers union, the Emory Teachers Association, we settled a contract with them for years 15 through 2018. And with the largest part of that, there were some things in terms of work day and things of that nature, but the largest thing of most contracts is salary. There was a small salary increase on schedule, but the largest settlement or agreement was that the district would increase the amount that it would contribute to the medical coverage for that particular unit. We're presently having reopening negotiations for our classified unit for years 14-15 and 15-16. And again, salary and benefits are the major discussion points. But I'm feeling that we were close to settling. Then we get into business office and other support. Because we are a small district, while our numbers may be small in terms of students, our numbers may be small in terms of employees. That simply means we have to know more about more areas than if we were in a larger district. In a larger district, your business office might have one person who does payroll, another person who does some of these tax presentations. In our district, you have to know to do the payroll, you have to know to do the tax information, We just have to simply know and hold and do more. So being small doesn't make it easier because the numbers are smaller. To a degree, it makes it more difficult because you're required to know and do more. But we fill in where we need to, and we are very conscientious, and we try to work as hard as we can and do the best we can. So I know I've just sort of touched on some areas, and if there are any questions.
The state and the country is experiencing an increasing shortage of teachers, of qualified teachers. And there are various reasons for that. But we're returning to levels we saw in the late 90s, early 2000s, in terms of the lack of enough qualified teachers. It seems to be getting harder and harder, particularly in science, I think, and special ed and math.
Math and special ed.
But not only there. So question to you is what are we doing to make sure we're, for this coming school year, out in front as soon as we can, early and aggressive recruiting for our vacancies?
Just as we've done, we've started early. And starting early is one of the most important things you can do. We're not waiting until late March or May. So starting early is one of the most important things you can do. The other thing that we can do is what we've been doing is we send our information out county-wide. For instance, one school district may for some reason be reducing their numbers in a particular area or just reducing the numbers in general. When we send our announcements out, amongst the HR directors, we're asked to share that information with staff who you know may be leaving your district. That's one thing that we do. And submitting our applications to the job boards at the various colleges and universities, that helps as well. And while we are mindful that we do want experienced, fully qualified, credentialed teachers, that is always to the forefront, there are sometimes occasions when we will get a student who their college Department of Education will speak up and recommend them and say, this is a fabulous student, or they've been a student teacher here, and our teachers know their work. We work with the county office in getting them credentialed in the areas that they need to. We don't do anything on our own. Everything that we do is done with guidance and direction from the county office to make sure that we're always in line. But yes, just know that we're always looking for experienced credentialed teachers, but sometimes we are in a position to hire a student, a newly credentialed individual who come very highly recommended by their departments of education.
Do you know how many student teachers we have this year?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
Okay. I know last year my son's class had a very good student teacher, but we were not aggressive enough in connecting and communicating that we wanted to make her an offer, and she went to another district.
I have to be more mindful of that.
Yeah, so I guess I would ask that you work with the principals to determine, now who look like the good student teachers that are going to be finishing their credentialing program at the end of this year, and let's be communicating with them that, hey, you should give us, assuming we have the vacancy for their position, which chances are we would. Anyway, let's make sure that we're using those people in-house to fill our vacancies if we think they're good.
Okay. I have a note of that.
Okay, great. Other questions? Superintendent?
Just wanted to add to your comments, I think are very, very helpful. We did learn last summer that one particular student teacher was offered a job even before they had their credential officially complete. So we are cognizant of the fact that districts around us are also getting more aggressive.
Yeah.
And
so
and
we
not
should be doing that.
Yeah. So and so we are. Mr. Rowell and I have had some time to talk about it. So we are thinking about how do we, although it's out of the norm for our practices over the years, if a student may not have everything complete, but they anticipate receiving their credential, they're taking an exam, that we want to make sure that that we do everything we can to make sure they know we're committed to them being offered a position and offer the position even in advance of the normal timeline that we would follow. Two other things that we're doing.
Well, and presumably on that, we'd be offering it contingent on your
That's right, contingent on the
finishing these
completion.
things
That's
in the
correct.
X period of time. Yeah.
That's correct.
Just-
The other two things, one is Ms. Harrell has started a practice of once a month she is reposting the positions so they go back to the top of the website on EdJoin where the teachers look. So I think it's a good strategy Ms. Harrell's put into place. And another way for us to keep, try to do whatever we can. And the other thing that we're doing again is we are again posting as part of the really hard to fill positions in math and science that we are offering a $5,000 signing bonus for any math or science teacher who leaves their district with at least 2 years experience and comes to Emeryville and accepts a position with us. So we're doing that as well, just so he's
Great.
on board.
Thank you. Yeah, it's helpful. Any public comment on this item? Please come forward, Mr. Donahue.
Okay, this is on the subject of personnel, employees here at the district, right? Is that correct, Mr. Affelt?
Do you have a comment, Mr. Donahue, please?
Yes, that's the subject at hand, right? Because I know you're very concerned that I speak on subject according to you. So that's the subject, correct?
I can clarify if you don't mind, Mr. Affeld. It is the subject is recruitment of new employees and hiring.
New employees, okay, excellent.
Teachers in particular, Mr. Donahue.
Teachers, even better. Okay, now I bring to Ms. Brittany Collins Rogers' attention June 2012. This is right after Mr. Affelt got elected to the school board. Ms.
Point of personal privilege, incorrect.
No. Right. Okay, first off, you're not allowed to interrupt me. Second of all, you're
For a
incorrect.
point of personal privilege, I
I know,
can.
but you're not allowed to interrupt. It's the Brown Act. Check that out. You're not allowed to interrupt people's speakers. You're not allowed to interrupt. Can you restart the clock, please? Ms. Tamery, could you please restart the clock? I got interrupted by the board president.
You're wasting your time. Continue.
Please restart the clock, because I'm allowed to have 3 minutes, Mr. Affelt. Okay, so now the new school, Collins Rogers, the new school board. Thank you very much. Okay, you should know about, there's a personnel issue that rose to a head in June of 2012. What was it called? The teacher's resolution. Check it out, please. Go to ask. You can go to the Emeryville Tattler. You can find it in the search bar. Type in teacher's resolution. You'll see a text of the resolution. It was the 93% of the teachers here at Emory signed a document saying that they were dissatisfied with the superintendent then, Deborah Lindo, and they had a 9-point whereas resolution, and 93% of the teachers signed this document, and they said that they have no confidence in the superintendent, and Mr. Affelt thought it was wise to just ignore 93% of the teachers, and I found out that the teachers that didn't sign were actually afraid to sign, afraid for their jobs. That's whatever. It's neither here nor there. But Mr. Affelt was on the school board during the entire time until the end of the tenure of the superintendent, Ms. Lindo. The school board voted to put a resolution of their own condemning the teachers and supporting Ms. Lindo. Just so you know, that is your colleague, Mr. Affelt. He was not interested in a resolution signed by 93% of the personnel here, 93% of the teachers, saying they couldn't work with the superintendent Now, you would think that if, say, maybe 50% of the teachers said they couldn't work with the superintendent, that would cause for major concern. I would think that the school board would intervene in an emergency manner to resolve that. But this was 93%, and Mr. Affelt was completely nonplussed. He didn't care, and he did nothing. He did nothing to assuage the desires of the teacher who said they could not work with our superintendent.
You're out of time.
Now, you can't have a school district when you treat teachers like that. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from the board? Are there any other questions from the board?
There is a comment on a point of personal privilege here, and I'm glad Mr. Dunn brought this up, because this particular event is actually an item on which I lost most of my respect for Mr. Donahue. He called me, and I regularly communicated with him, and have invited him to continue to communicate with me by email, but he generally doesn't. But in any event, he called me about first of all, the teacher's resolution item came when I was not on the school board. I was appointed a month after it. The board's response was to the teachers before I was on the school board, not while I was on the school board. And during my tenure on the school board, Superintendent Lindo retired early. I think everyone knows that record, and that's all that needs to be said there. Mr. Donahue incorrectly, well, he asked me about a year after the resolution out of the blue, what happened a year ago Monday, or something to that effect. And I said, well, I wasn't on the board then, but I think that was a teacher's decision where they came out and indicated that they did not support Superintendent Lindo. You're out of order. Mr. Donahue, you are out of order. I have the emails to prove it. And you are out of order. Mr. Donahue indicated to me, I explained to him what the issue was. He was surprised, and then started telling people around town that I responded that I did not know what he was talking about. He then wrote in the Tatler that he talked to 2 board members, neither of whom knew what he was talking about. Mr. Donahue, when I confronted him on that, said, it's not about you. It's not about you. I'm not talking about you. I polled the other board members. None of them had talked to Mr. Donahue at all. So he was spreading incorrect and inaccurate information. And that is the history of this item and the teacher's resolution. And, I apologize for taking even this much time to respond to this, but Mr. Donahue has an important role in the community in identifying issues and bringing them to the board's attention, the community's attention. He does a disservice to himself and to the civic debate and discussion in this community when he misrepresents and misreports information. And that is, unfortunately, he's not an accurate conveyor of conversation or of information, and it undermines his credibility and his ability to be effective. And that's all I'm going to say on that point of personal privilege.
Are we concluded with this?
We are concluded unless there's any other comment on this item. Thank you.
On this item?
Hi. So my name is Wanda Stewart, and I happily serve the Emeryville community. for almost 10 years. And one of my primary roles was recruiting students and raising the enrollment and managing that, and supporting the Director of Human Resources in doing outreach for teachers. And I was really good at it. But one of the reasons that I was really good at it when I went out on this district's behalf is because this district was really working at making a wonderful, real community. And even when board meetings were contentious, we were working and grappling through things that were going to make a difference. It's not going to be easy to get and retain quality teachers when you have parents who come and rage for the community and stop real business from happening. It's not going to attract teachers and people when people tune into their televisions and this is what they see and experience. Doesn't inspire confidence in the ability to work well in a positive environment. It doesn't inspire confidence in anybody wanting to put their kids here. And it's just wrong. And I just really want to ask everybody in this room, because I know what this district was working towards. We got a building that's going up that testifies to what we were trying to do. And what you were doing and the way you're responding, and I've known you since Dylan was in kindergarten, is not right. That people work in a community, and I come to see people I love, and they're angst out, and their stomachs are gripped, and they are hard working, and feeling like it's going nowhere isn't going to help anybody do anything. So please, I ask everybody, you care about how many kids you have enrolled, you care about the quality of teachers you're given, give them some quality to come to. Who wants to come to this right here? And Mr. Donahue, I get you. I get your voice. But what you are doing is hurtful to everybody in this picture, your own child included. And I would ask you to try to find a different way to participate in this school district, in this community.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. I appreciate your comments and your criticisms. It's good to see you.
Hello again. So my comment is about what you're discussing and anything else on the agendas. And I'd like to come up here and ask that the adults please focus on the children and stop acting like children. We got a lot of work in this district to do. We have a student sitting here. We need to lead by example, and there are no exceptions. We need to play like team players, and if you can't play like team players, it's no sense in even trying. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of kids to deal with, and adults, please. We're called adults because it's a behavior we're supposed to maintain and we're supposed to represent. Can we focus on the students? Can we focus on the agenda and the items? Can we make some progress and stop regressing with the nastiness? Let's get this done, and let's do it professionally. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Duly noted. Do we have any other public comment? All right. Thank you, Ms. Harrell. We're on to item 7.3, the parcel tax Measure K update.
Yes, good evening. Sign me in. Capital W. We have Ms. Dora Sue, our fiscal director, tonight to give us a quick update on the parcel tax. Ms. Tamery's going to open up get me signed in there again. Excel file to the left. And those arrow keys will let you move around. Yeah.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk about the parcel tax second interim working budget. We were able to update the parcel tax budget to make sure we have included all the correct positions and expenses. We will be forwarding the details of the budget to the parcel tax committee before the end of the week. And on this spreadsheet that we are looking at right now, I would like to point your attention to the last column of the spreadsheet where it said revised budget as of January 31st, 2016. And on this spreadsheet, it's telling you that on the parcel tax budget, we are projected to receive a $2.55 million. And the total expenses for the parcel tax budget during the second interim is going to be $2.9 million. And with the beginning carryover from last year of $417,000, we are projected to have an ending fund balance of $48,000.
Thank you for that update, Ms. Dorsu.
You might just want to stay up in case there are any questions. Let me ask, are there any questions? No. Not here. The $48,000 is what's remaining according to the updated figures in the parcel tax fund.
Current projection.
Yeah, and that's what will be remaining at the end of the current fiscal year. And can you just explain to the public what then happens to that $48,000?
Absolutely. If our projections are correct and we have an ending fund balance of $48,000 or $20,000 or $100,000, that money is rolled over into the following school year and is then budgeted for the next year.
Okay. And has this been run by the Parcel Tax Committee?
The Parcel Tax Committee has asked that we go ahead and Ms. Dorsu sends them the same format of all the charts that they received in the fall with the updated numbers. And so that they've just asked that after tonight that information is forwarded to them.
Okay. And all right, and presumably they'll review those updated figures and let us know in their next report if they have any issues with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this item? And is this this is an action item, or it's just it says information only?
Information.
Okay. All right. Do we have any public comment? I'm sorry. If you have comment, you need to come to the mic.
Took a couple of notes here, so bear with me.
On this item, right, Mr. Donahue?
Yes, it's up. You're the arbiter for that, remember? Okay, why did it take you so long to figure out all these expenses that could be expended under the parcel tax? And do you think you could benefit by listening to the residents and the parents more often? It's a question I got for you. Why did it take so long? I think you dismiss residents' voices, and I think of you. I'm asking you now, and you're the Brown Act that you're unfamiliar with, but I'm here to tell you, allows you to answer, and as long as you don't make substantive comments. Why did it take you so long to figure out these expenses? And I'm also like to ask you, do you think you could benefit by members of the public actually listening to members of the public? Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Ms. Britton. Good evening, everyone. And with that being said, by me being a federal government employee, a lot of times things are overlooked. A lot of times things change. A lot of times things is just not seen at all. It's not foreseen. That's why I think, as being a parent, or have been a parent of a student, and my son is with me now, this is the way the budget is. We are lucky to have Pixar, who's a big contributor to the school district. From what I understand, I'm talking directly to you, yes. Yes, I am. Well, I was just misinformed.
Just make your comment.
Okay, my comment is everything changes and nothing stays the same. That's my comment. And I suggest strongly, Ms. Brittany, that these hypothetical situations, take them into your own account. You observe. Don't listen to anyone else. You take your own. That's it.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Ponder.
Okay, any other public comment?
Partial tax.
Good evening. My name is Melvin Ponder, a former student of Emeryville Unified School District for about 8 years. Just on looking at the remaining balance of the projected remaining balance of $48,000, I have a question on the turf. Is it actually saving money putting it in, or will it be saving money maintaining it as well? Since what kind of what type of material is it?
President Alpha,
Yeah, so construing that.
I don't mind responding. I just
Yeah.
have to check because
Yeah.
in public comment
Yeah,
we don't.
Yeah, yeah. Go
On
ahead,
this item?
if you have a.
And it is related to the budget, I guess you're asking. The type of material that we're making sure we're using is not what typically has been installed over the years across the country with recycled tire rubber. There are safety concerns that a lot of people have, and there's a lot of debate about that. And rather than be in that debate, we're choosing the route that we believe is the safest way to go and not have any recycled tire rubber in that. So to answer your question, right now, in the reconstruction of the site, it's really just dirt right now. Nothing that we haven't gotten to that phase of the work just yet, but that's coming up pretty soon. But the thought is that the way it's currently designed, most turf fields need a lot of drainage, so the water goes out, a lot of pipes all throughout. And so changing to this material as the shock pad and having a shock pad, while it will cost us a little more money, slightly more for this type of material, we believe we may have more savings when you compare the two. So we think it's smart for us to look for ways to make the field safer for our athletes and our young students, while we're always looking for ways to save money on the project.
Great, and it will last longer.
It will last. It will last longer, in part because, well, one is this particular company guarantees this material for 25 years. We can't find any other companies that does that. Oftentimes, turf fields have to be replaced 8 to 10 years. But because of the type of material being used and the drainage, it is likely, we believe, that the turf field would not have to be replaced as soon because more of the impact of the players is absorbed. And when we do come to that time to replace the turf field, it will be less costly because the way this system is installed is simple and it is disassembled in a simple way, and then there's not as much work to do underneath.
Great. Understand. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so you don't think we'll be using our $48,000 in parcel tax to pay for maintenance?
No. In fact, the parcel tax money, I'll add, is really to maintain our current programs, our academic programs, our teachers of those academic classes, and so this is all actually construction money.
Okay. All right, any other public comment? Okay, this was an information item. Thank you. Ms. Sue, we are now on to item 7.4. Superintendent, you want to introduce that?
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Sue. Item 7.4 is a revision to the parcel tax bylaws. We are recommending a motion for approval by the board. The purpose of this item is to ask the board to consider the revisions to the bylaws that the Parcel Tax Committee made in their annual report. And we have attached the bylaws here. The changes are in red.
Do we have any questions on the bylaws? My question for staff is the bylaws as proposed pose some additional obligations. Well, first of all, the Parcel Tax Committee, like the COC, where the duty to post a notice is the committee's, or is it the district's duty to post notices?
I believe it's the duty of the committee, but we work in tandem with the committee to make sure that happens. Mm-hmm. That's been our practice.
Mm-hmm. So the district supports the committees.
Yes.
So if that's the case, whether it's required or not, this duties will fall on staff, probably Ms. Tamery, to make sure that notices get out 5 days ahead of time.
That's right.
So is that something that that we think we can do?
Yes, we do believe we can do that, and we're happy to be going actually beyond the requirements of the Brown Act in this case, and giving advance notice instead of 3 days. We're making that, I believe, 5 days in these changes.
Mm-hmm. One of the changes is to give 5 days additional notice on special meetings. What's the rationale there? If you know, we don't have Mr. Bowders here anymore, but sometimes special meetings need to be called. That's one of the reasons they might be special is that there's a immediate need to have a meeting. Now that's more likely with the school board than a parcel tax committee, but I don't know. So do you? What
rationale?
Yeah, what's the rationale behind a special meeting?
I believe the rationale, and my recollection is I think special meetings in fact require 24 hours notice. But my belief is that the committee's intent here is to give as much notice as reasonably possible for staff to do, and to put out the information earlier to give the community more time to see the information and to have the opportunity to attend. That's my belief of what the intent is.
And is it, I don't have in front of me, is it 5 days total or 5 days beyond the 3 days?
5 days total, five full
full
days,
That-
before any regular or special meeting.
And okay. All right. Any other questions? Any public comment?
To everybody in the room that's left and the people watching on the TV, we're privileged to hear the chair of the school board present a personal point of privilege, a so-called personal point of privilege, and a shouting down of a parent with a child in the district speaking about an agendized item. And then you'll note, so that's pretty unprecedented. Some might say arrogant, of the school board president. Then you'll note there was...
Do you have a comment on the
could you please
revisions
stop
to the
interrupting,
parcel
please?
tax bylaws?
Could you please stop interrupting? You'll note here that there was previously the chair of the parcel tax committee was here in the audience, ready to give a presentation. He's gone. Where is he? He left. And the reason he left is because of the board, the president of the board's unprecedented and uncalled for shutting down of public comments, a parent with a child in the district. And that's why he left. He left because he thinks you're arrogant. It's pretty obvious to me. Well, I know the chair of the oversight committee, and I know what his sensibilities are. And I know that he doesn't countenance public meetings being run like this, where the citizens are shouted down and not allowed to speak, as the Brown Act provides that they are. So we have lost here now the take on this subject by the parcel tax committee chair, because he left because of the behavior of the school board president. So this is a breakdown. So, I've got a child in this district. It just seems out of control to me. I understand you don't like criticism. I understand that. Nobody likes to be criticized, except to the members of the audience and the people watching. When you're on a school board, that comes with the territory. You have to just sit there and take it, because there's differing views about how to run a school board and how to run a school district. And I have a differing view, obviously, than Mr. Affeld. And, he has to just take it when I offer criticisms of his job performance. That's part of the job. So, Mr. Affeld, I think you should wrap your head around this idea that citizens and parents can come and they can be critical, and you shouldn't take personal effrontery like this. So much so that you drive your chair of your parcel tax committee out of the meeting. That's a bridge too far. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue. Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none, do we have a motion on any further discussion on the parcel tax item? If not, a motion?
I move approval of the change.
I'll second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Ash?
Yes.
Member Collins Rogers?
Yes.
Member Mohammed?
Yes.
President Affeld?
Yes. Final action discussion item is item 7.5, renewal of parcel tax committee membership. Superintendent?
Yes, good evening. The purpose of this item is to ask the board to consider the renewal of Mr. Steve Rasmussen's membership on the committee. Each member holds office for a term of 2 years without compensation, and that membership is to be renewed at the discretion of the Board of Trustees. The superintendent shall, as part of our bylaws, it's my role to notify the committee secretary in writing of the appointment of a committee member or the filing of any and all committee vacancies by the governing board. Mr. Rasmussen has served on the committee for many years and has agreed to continue to serve on the committee. So our recommendation is that the board approve this as presented.
Any questions on this? All right. Public comment? Okay, discussion. Mr. Rasmussen has been a long time former teacher in the district and a member of various boards that have supported the district, and one of our key supporters in the community. So I think I'm happy to move his continued service on the parcel tax committee. Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Member Ash?
Yes.
Member Collins Rogers?
Yes.
Member Mohammed?
Yes.
President Affelt?
Yes. All right. Any board reports or announcements? All right. Seeing none. Calendar review, please.
The next regular meeting of our Emery School Board of Trustees will be February 23rd. School is closed during the week of February 15th. And that's all we have tonight for calendar.
All right. There's no closed session. This meeting is adjourned at 7:55.